Trail talk time. Out on another beautiful trail. Enjoying this gorgeous sunny day today. Just loving these beautiful vibes. Today I wanted to bring up an issue that's been popping up on the internet a lot for a good reason about the Amazon rainforest and the fires that have been going on in the Amazon. You know, it's such a big topic. There's so much information out there, but I've been doing some research and I wanted to share some things that I've been learning. And I brought a few notes because it's so important for us to be aware of this because it's affecting the whole planet at large, right? It's such a huge part of the planet. The Amazon is the biggest rainforest, and they say it takes like 25% of the carbon emissions of the world, so it's a huge cleanser for this planet. So any issues that we have with global warming, the rainforest is one of the biggest things that can help with that. And I just want to share some interesting things that I've come across in my research just to show the importance of the rainforest and what's going on. You know, there's a lot of information to share, so I just want to share a few points that I've found. So 15% of the Earth's fresh water comes from the Amazon rainforest, which is quite a lot. They say that 3,500 square miles have been scorched in 2019 alone. And it's said to keep on getting higher, you know, with the new president being elected. He's had some new laws that he's passed that make it easier for people to go ahead and slash and burn all of these areas. And the main reason that these fires have been started, you know, because a lot of news outlets make it seem like it might be a natural thing, but it's clear from a lot of evidence and research that it's man-made fires that are happening because of their need for cattle ranching and agriculture, right? They want to make money off of it. It's all for the profit, right? Because all the natural fires could never reach this amount with all the rain and moisture in the rainforest. So this has been happening since like the 60s when farmers started to do this. They started to slash and burn and clear cut all of these areas and grow as much as they could until the area is just completely wiped out, and then they move on to the next area. But I mean, it's pretty staggering. Like, they say about 34 million people live in the rainforest, with about 400 different indigenous groups of about 250,000 people. But just 500 years ago, there were 6 to 9 million people. Okay, so all of these people continue to be burned out and killed off from their indigenous land. And there's still people living in there today that are dealing with this and struggling with this. Like, this is their home. And not to mention all the amount of species. I researched and found that 1 in 10 known species on the planet of plants and animals are in the rainforest, right? So just this diversity of species and stuff like this can't just come back if we burn it all down, right? It's all living in there. And so we can go ahead and plant new species of trees and stuff, but that still takes so long for it to grow back and become a thriving atmosphere. And all of these species that are burned out might not be able to be replanted and come back. So it's quite important to know these things, right? And 70% of the plants in the Amazon are said to have anti-cancer properties, right? I'm a big proponent of natural ways of dealing with our health and stuff like that. And, you know, there's some type of natural herb or medicine that can pretty much cure anything, including cancer. And so if we burn down all of these different plants, we're ridding this planet of all of this natural medicine that can help the world in so many ways. And about 80% of the deforestation in the Amazon is said to be due to cattle ranching and livestock ranching. So once again, it's not like natural fires that are happening that can naturally happen on the planet. People are setting these fires and clear cutting these areas for business, for money, right? And so the burning discharges 30% of the carbon emissions. So instead of this beautiful forest taking in all of this carbon and cleansing the planet, we're now spreading all of this, all of these emissions and pollution into the world now. And the smoke is being spread all the way to like Sao Paulo, like the main cities in Brazil and stuff like that. And people are breathing this in. And so it's affecting all the big cities and stuff around there now. And I've talked about in so many videos how we're not separate from this planet, our environment. We're all connected. So they're closer to it and they're breathing it in from a closer distance. So it's affecting them more, I guess you could say. But it's essentially affecting the entire planet as well. And we're not going to have as much oxygen to breathe, right? We need all of this wildlife and these plants and everything to filter the air and bring oxygen to our environment so that we can breathe and actually sustain life, right? So it's such a huge deal for the whole planet. And more than 1.6 billion people depend on this rainforest for their livelihood, right? And that's just like, you know, taking into account people around the area and stuff like that. But so much of our food and stuff like that, like 50% of species and food come from the Amazon rainforest, right? Like all of this resource that we have and all of our food that we live on comes from this rainforest, right? So it's such a big, you know, impact that it's having on us. And, you know, it's all stemming from the ego, right? People are living in a fear-based mindset and they're really not taking into account the effects that it's having on the planet and other people. They're just living for their own self-worth and self-sustainability. And it's pretty sad, you know. We can learn from this situation and start to take a look at ourselves and what we can do in our lives. And we can start to live from the standpoint of love, right? And compassion, and see how we really are connected to one another. You know, we're not separate from each other. And that's the mindset of the ego, right? The ego says we're all separate. And so it tries to do whatever it can to keep itself alive, but doesn't take into account that which is outside of it, right? So I think we can definitely start to be activists by reaching out, you know, spreading the word with people first and spreading information about this and letting people realize that it is due to mostly man-made fires that are happening, right? And maybe reach out to the governments and see what we can do. Start passing around petitions and signing ones that are going around, and start to join in good causes like this. But I think one of the main things that we can really do to help is to see, well, the reason that they're doing this for money is that they have, you know, people that they have a market for to grow and raise these animals in these farms in, right? And so if we can take away that market and reduce the amount of animals that are being killed that they think they need to raise by going vegan, by adopting a plant-based diet, then that's such a huge impact that we're making on the world, right? we're taking away that market and that reason for them to be clear cutting this all anyways. So it might seem like a big choice, a big switch in your lifestyle, which of course it is. You know, our diet is such a huge part of our life, and how we sustain ourselves and what we eat plays a big part in our life. But there's so many benefits to adopting a plant-based lifestyle. You know, I've spoken in other videos about when we are eating animals that don't want to be killed, they have all of this fear that they're releasing, right? And so when we eat these animal products, we're taking on all of that fear that they're excreting and all of these negative hormones, and it's being assimilated into our bodies. And so it can cause a lot of dis-ease in our system. And on a planetary level, I mean, this has been going on for so long. It's not just the Amazon rainforest that's, you know, being affected by these lifestyle choices that we have and this huge fast food culture that we have. You know, a lot of the world's pollution is being caused by all of this livestock farming and agriculture. And so starting to change our diet and adopt a more plant-based lifestyle is going to affect the planet in such a positive way as a whole, and take away all of this unnecessary pollution. And I mean, for me, it's helped me become a lot more clear in my mind and my emotions, right? Instead of having to take on all of this fear from the animals, I'm able to now just feel my own energy, and it's really improved my connection with animals and with the world and myself. You know, just finding that clarity and that peace of mind. And it feels amazing. Like, it just totally clears out the body. These beautiful plants give us all that we need. There's so many ways that we can get our nutrients and our protein from plants. You know, I did a whole video about veganism and talked about different ways that we can get a complete source of protein. So you can go ahead and check out that video if you'd like to learn a bit more. But that's really all I wanted to share for today. You know, I know once again it can seem a bit daunting when we look at these big issues and stuff, and again, looking at your diet and trying to make a change. You know, if I talk to people about veganism, most people think there's no way I could give up meat, right? Like bacon and everything, like chicken, whatever they love. But I used to think the exact same way. And sometimes it just takes a little shift in our consciousness to start to think, well, what are the repercussions of what I'm doing, right? Of this diet that I'm digesting, that I'm taking in. You know, where is my food really coming from? And what are the effects on the animals and on the planet as a whole with these choices that I'm making every single day? So just starting to question our impact in this life is a good start to shift our mindset and see how we can make a positive difference in this world. So yeah, that's all I want to share for today. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that we can start making some beautiful positive changes in this world before it's really too late, because, you know, at this rate, they say that in about 80 years, the rainforest could be completely turned into a desert. And we don't even understand the types of repercussions that could have on this planet as a whole. You know, there's so many news outlets and stuff that talk about this rainforest being like the lungs of the planet, right? And I think that's so true. Like, I've spoken in many videos about our connection with Mother Nature, how all of these beautiful ecosystems are recycling all of this air and we're breathing with it, right? We couldn't have all of this fresh air and breathe this oxygen without these plants and trees. So it affects everybody. So yeah, just something to think about, you know. Anyways, I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Stay healthy and stay connected to this beautiful earth. You know, it's really our home, and it's the only home that we have. So I think we need to love it and cherish it and treat it with the respect it deserves. But that's it for today. Peace and limitless love.